Good evening. Authorities have confirmed the arrest of a man connected to a violent incident that resulted in 2 fatalities. Police say the situation escalated rapidly after officers arrived on the scene. The suspect is now in custody, awaiting trial. Investigators continue to piece together the events that led to that NA.
Tonight's case has left more questions than answers. What initially appeared to be a routine police response quickly escalated into a violent incident that no one on scene anticipated. According to preliminary reports, officers were dispatched following a disturbance call from a residential area that had no prior history of serious crime. Neighbours described the night as ordinary until it suddenly wasn't. No warnings, no alarms, just raised voices followed by silence. When law enforcement arrived, they encountered a situation that would permanently alter multiple lives. 2 individuals were pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect remained present and was taken into custody without resistance. Investigators say there was no immediate indication of premeditation, no extensive criminal history, no documented pattern of violence, which raises a difficult question. How does someone with no visible past cross such a devastating line? Experts often remind us that violent acts rarely exist in isolation. They are not moments, they are outcomes. Outcomes shaped by pressure, emotional neglect, and unaddressed stress over time. In the hours following the incident, authorities secured the area and began reconstructing the sequence of events. Every detail mattered. Every second counted. What was said, what wasn't, and what happened in between. As the suspect was transported from the scene, officials confirmed that no attempt was made to flee. Sources described the individual as emotionally detached and unresponsive during the arrest. Not aggressive, not defensive, simply withdrawn. This behaviour, according to criminal psychologists, is not uncommon in cases involving emotional overload. When pressure builds unchecked for years, the breaking point does not always look explosive. Sometimes it looks empty. Inside the interrogation room, investigators focused less on accusations and more on understanding. Understanding what led to that moment. Understanding what warning signs may have been missed. Because cases like this are never just about one night. They are about everything that came before it. The community response was immediate. Shock, confusion, disbelief. Many struggled to reconcile the image of an ordinary individual with the reality of the crime. Authorities have emphasized that this case is being handled with seriousness and care. Not only because of the lives lost, but because of the broader implications it raises about mental health, isolation, and untreated emotional strain. As the legal process moves forward, officials caution against rushing to conclusions. Accountability will be determined in court, but understanding must happen long before judgment. This story forces us to confront uncomfortable truths, that silence can be dangerous, that emotional pain often goes unnoticed, and that prevention begins with awareness, not reaction. Tonight, 2 lives are gone. 1 life is forever altered. And a community is left asking how something so devastating could emerge from something so ordinary. This is not just a crime story. It is a reminder that behind every headline, there is a buildup no camera ever sees. We will continue to follow this case as more details become available. For now, authorities urge the public to reflect, not only on what happened, but on what could have been prevented. Reporting tonight, this is a developing story.
A bad man, a bad night. An ending that makes them feel safe again. But life never works like that, and neither did I. Before you decide who I am, let me tell you who I was. I was invisible. Not in the way movies show it, not dramatic, not tragic, just unseen. The kind of person people talk over, the kind they forget to ask how he's doing, the kind who learns early that silence is safer than honesty. I grew up in a house where problems didn't get solved. They got buried. You didn't talk about fear. You didn't talk about anger. You didn't talk about the nights when sleep didn't come because your mind wouldn't shut up. You just learned how to carry it. I carried it into school, into work, into every relationship that never quite worked. People think strength is loud, but real strength, the kind that survives, is quiet. And quiet can turn dangerous when it's ignored for too long. I tried to live clean, tried to do things right, but life has a way of reminding you that effort doesn't guarantee peace. Bills stacked up, promises broke, People smiled in your face and disappeared when you needed them most. Every day felt like I was standing in line for a reward that never came. I kept telling myself, just hold on a little longer. That phrase can save you or destroy you. By the time that night arrived, I was already exhausted, not physically, emotionally, the kind of tired sleep can't fix, the kind that lives behind your eyes. It started ordinary. Ordinary is dangerous. No alarms, no warnings, no sign that everything was about to collapse. When they walked in, I didn't feel fear. I felt pressure. Pressure from years of swallowing words, pressure from pretending I was fine, pressure from being expected to absorb everything without breaking. Voices got louder. The room felt smaller. I remember thinking how strange it was that moments before disaster always feel stretched, like time slows down to watch you fail. People ask if I felt angry. I didn't. Anger is sharp. What I felt was heavy. Heavy with memories. Heavy with regret. Heavy with the realization that nobody in that room was listening anymore. I don't remember deciding. I remember reacting. That's the part nobody understands. They want clean lines, cause and effect. But collapse isn't clean. After it happened, the silence hit me first. A silence so deep it felt physical. That's when I knew life had split into two parts. Before and after. The police arrived quickly, faster than my thoughts could catch up. Lights flooded the room. Commands followed. I didn't resist. There was nothing left to protect. Sitting in the back of that car, I thought I'd feel something strong. Guilt, fear, regret. Instead, there was just emptiness. Prison doesn't break you. It reveals you. It strips away distractions until all you have left is yourself and your thoughts. Time behaves differently in here. Minutes stretch. Nights echo. Every memory gets replayed with cruel precision. I started seeing patterns. Not excuses. Patterns. How neglect grows teeth. How silence learns to scream. How ignored pain eventually demands attention. People think monsters hide in shadows. Most of them are built in plain sight. I've met men in here who were loved once, and men who never were. That difference matters. More than people want to admit. If I could go back, I wouldn't change just that night. I'd change every moment I told myself I didn't matter enough to speak. Because violence doesn't begin with fists. It begins with silence. Prison mornings are the worst. Not because of the noise, but because of the quiet right before it. That moment when you wake up and forget where you are. Just long enough for hope to sneak in, and then reality crashes back down on your chest. Every day starts the same. Cold floor, hard walls, a mirror that doesn't ask questions but somehow judges anyway. I stopped looking at myself after the first month. It was easier to avoid the man staring back. People assume prison is about punishment. It's not. It's about memory. You remember everything in here. The good moments hurt more than the bad ones because they remind you of what you'll never touch again. I replay that night in pieces, never all at once. My mind doesn't let me. It shows me fragments like broken glass. A voice raised, a heartbeat racing, a second where everything could have stopped, but didn't. People want to know if I regret it. That question is too simple. Regret assumes there was a clear moment to choose differently. What I regret is every warning sign I ignored long before that night. I regret the times I laughed things off that hurt me, the times I swallowed anger because I didn't want to seem weak. The times I told myself, this is just life, when it was really neglect wearing a mask. In here, everyone has a story. Some tell it proudly, some tell it like a confession. Most don't tell it at all. Silence feels familiar to men like us. There's a guy in the cell 2 doors down. He talks in his sleep. Sometimes he apologizes, sometimes he begs. I wonder who he's talking to, or if he's just trying to forgive himself. Nights stretch forever. That's when thoughts get dangerous. You start bargaining with time. If I had 5 minutes back, if I had one honest conversation earlier, if someone had listened. But the past doesn't negotiate, it only waits. I think about the people who died. Not how they did, but who they were before that moment. They had routines, habits, plans they didn't know would never happen. That's the part that hurts the most, not the label they put on me, but the fact that my breaking point erased someone else's future. Accountability is heavy. It doesn't shout. It sits with you quietly and waits until you're alone. Therapy sessions are strange in here. You talk to someone who goes home after, someone who listens but never fully understands. Still, talking helps, even if it's late. I learned a word I wish I'd known earlier. Emotional compression. That's what they called it. The slow buildup of unexpressed pain. Pressure without release. They said some people explode, others implode. I did both. I'm not telling this story to excuse myself. I deserve to be here. But if someone listening recognizes the signs in themselves, maybe this story can stop something before it starts. Pay attention to exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. Pay attention to anger you keep hiding. Pay attention when silence starts feeling loud. Asking for help isn't weakness. Pretending you don't need it is. If someone had told me that earlier, maybe I wouldn't be counting days by scratches on a wall. I don't expect forgiveness. Forgiveness belongs to the living. Or what I want is awareness. Because the truth is uncomfortable, but it saves lives. Violence isn't sudden, it's patient. It waits behind ignored pain, behind untreated trauma, behind people who were never taught how to ask for help. One day, my sentence will end, but this story won't. It will live in records, in memories, in the lives affected by one irreversible night. If you're listening to this from freedom, don't waste it pretending you're okay when you're not. Speak, ask, heal, because silence doesn't make you strong. It just teaches pain how to wait. This is my truth. Not a defense, not a plea, just a warning. Told too late.